Are you just talking, or are you being heard? There's a fine distinction there. A lot of us do a lot of talking. You'd think we'd be experts by now, but most of us are not being heard, not all the time. And so I'm going to give you a few simple tips that I practice and I implement on a daily basis to ensure that not only am I talking, but my message is being heard and received. One, as my former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations says, si cho chu. That's stomach in, chest out, chin up. Imagine you're the puppet and there's a puppeteer and they're kind of lifting you up. Posture. That's very important. When you speak like this, you're much more likely to be heard versus like this. You know, I'm over here, you know, well, yeah, I've been in business for 22 years. Nobody's hearing that. Mumbling. Another one that we all like to do because it's easier just to mumble, especially if we're trying to gloss over some fact that we don't want the other people to react to. But enunciate. Speak clearly, speak loudly. Even though I know Rudy's here and I know Andy are close to me, I'm actually speaking to Amanda and to Frank at the end of the room because they're going to hear me, but I want to make sure you guys understand me back there. I'm using some hand gestures. Some people say that might be bad if you use too many hand gestures, but if you use them properly, for example, if you're enumerating 3 points, 1, 2, 3. Eddie Heinemeier speaks and he says 3 things. Can't remember what they are, but I remember they're 3. And if you count them out, it helps drive your point home. Eye contact, that's a tough one. Practice that on a one-to-one basis. But I'm telling you, at the end of the day, public speaking is actually easier when you make eye contact because you have friendly people like Wayne and Brenda that are looking at me and nodding, right? We even have people that might intimidate us that might know more than we do, like Charlie Watts, and he's smiling and he's nodding, and I think like, okay, well, I'm winning some approval. It's not why you speak. You speak to deliver some value, and you guys have valuable information about your particular business, your particular industry, and if you really believe it, you got to make sure that other people believe it in the room. So there's nothing to be shy about. So there are a whole bunch of tips. The big one is practice this stuff at home. Practice with people that you're comfortable with. Practice with people that are friends when you go out for margaritas. Make sure you're making eye contact. Make sure you stand up straight. Yesterday, we had about 20 people at a tour introducing themselves. The ones who you could understand what they do and what their name was and everything are the people who stood up. The ones that stayed sitting when they introduced themselves and kind of looked down, nobody understood. I actually spoke with a lady before the event. I was literally 2 feet from her and I could not hear her. Yeah, you know, I'm really, and her facial gestures, everything were great. The volume was just not there. Now I know I've lost a little hearing in my old age, too many rock concerts back in the day, but speak up. When you go to an event, and I'll ask Rudy this since you're wearing a sport coat, is it better to be overdressed by a little bit or underdressed? Overdressed. So it's always better to speak a little loudly. My kids will be, oh my God, Dad, you're too loud. Well, your volume is too low. Nobody can hear you. Nobody can understand you. So these are some tips that we're going to practice actually starting today as you guys each get up and tell us your name and what the name of your company is and what you do for a living, okay? So eye contact, stand up straight, make sure you're talking to the end of the room. There are a whole bunch of other things. Maybe use some hand gestures. It's the difference between speaking and being heard.